Now, everybody loves kanji, and one of the reasons why is that they're basically perfect. But could they be improved to be even better? No, of course not. But join me on this thought experiment as to whether or not kanji have reached their full potential. Let's start with nani. As you know, nani is a pretty simple kanji, but to me it doesn't really evoke questions. So what if we just took that bottom part out and replaced it with a question mark? Not only do we save one stroke order, it more clearly says, hey, I'm a question kanji. Speaking of question kanjis though, I also have a bit of a bone to pick with dare, as it to me doesn't really evoke who. To me, speak and who don't really work, and the phonetic element isn't really relevant in Japanese, so what if we take the spoken element and we'll change it to person, because you know, people are whos, and then put the question mark back in there. Works for me. Dare desu ka? Easy. Great. While talking about kanji with this little radical though, one that's always bothered me is this kanji here, which you might not know because it's not Joyo kanji, but this is read as ko, and it can mean just child, but it's very frequently used for non-human children, at least in the Japanese context. As a result, I think we should take the person radical out of there, and I propose taking dobutsu and a piece of each of that and putting that back in, giving us this. Yeah, we've increased the stroke order a little bit, but we'll save it elsewhere. And it makes it even more impressive that you know a non-Joyo kanji, because it's like, oh, look how complicated it is, right? You can show off. If you're like, I know some non-Joyo kanji, and it's just like 5 strokes, no one's gonna care. But if you know this one, wow, yeah, you're definitely a person that I can trust. Keeping the discussion of animals going, Inu is another one that I think needs reform. Now, not the kanji itself, it's fine. The problem is, what if your dog isn't big? So what I propose is that we create 2 new variants so people can describe their dogs when they are medium-sized and small. This would work like the third-person pronoun kanji in Chinese, where if you're not familiar, the Chinese version for a third-person pronoun is basically the same for everything in speech, but when written, there are written versions for he, she, it. And we're just basically doing that with dogs. Cat as well, I think, needs reform. The left radical there comes from dog, which is like, I guess it's fine, like, whatever, they're similar, pet, you know, whatever. But I have a problem with the one on the right. It is providing the reading, I guess, but we don't really use that as much in Japanese, and it just like grass and field don't evoke cat to me, so I think we should change the grass into ears like that, and then for the field part, we just change it into a nose and some whiskers. And that's only a 1-stroke increase, but the kawaii increase is massive, right? We're getting massive kawaii benefits from this, which, given that we're definitely in more of a kawaii-based economy at the moment, rather than like a semi-phonetic compound economy, I think it's a choice that has benefits for basically all of Japan. Now, that was my 5th proposal. My 6th is actually changing the numbers for 4 and 5. And my problem is, like, look, they're very simple. I don't think we should go to, like, just straight lines. I don't think we need to have, you know, the 3 go into 4, go into 5. But it does bother me that the 5 kanji has 4 strokes and the 4 kanji has 5 strokes. I do like that 5 has 5 in it, right? That's really cool. Massive thanks to the Chinese person who invented this years ago for thinking of people like me and helping us memorize it. That was really kind of them to do in advance. But I want more consistency. So I propose kind of switching them and then altering them. So we're going to take the 5 kanji and make it 4 by kind of flipping it around and giving it 4 strokes, but keeping the 4 in there, right? It used to be 5, now it's 4. Clever. Then we'll take the kanji for 4 and make that 5, and we'll also hide 5 in there, right, with 1 stroke here and then a 2nd stroke there, unifying the whole thing. Speaking of unification, this kanji I think is a bit too difficult for what it does. Like, it's only really used in one purpose, and it takes way too many strokes. Given the frequency of it, I think it should be shorter. Like, when you write something like Nichiobi, it just stands out. We don't need to spend that much time writing the word Sunday. And yeah, again, look, I know it's phonetic, but in Japanese, really, the only part that matters for our phonetics is that yo, right? Like, like, that happens to be the sound now. So let's just make that bigger and get rid of the rest. See, I told you we'd save those strokes, which means we can add the other in cat and ko, and we're good to go. Another one that I think has a bit too many strokes for how frequent you have to write it is the kanji for ayamaru, right? To apologize. And for this one, I propose just taking Japanese net slang and like turning it into a kanji. We're gonna take ors here, like the guy apologizing, and just scrunch it down and then put ru at the end, and that'll give us ayamaru. Or you can write words like kansha, like this. And you know, if some Chinese people want to get on this, consider writing sheshe. And if you don't like the idea, I apologize. Finally though, for number 10, let's talk about the kanji for kanji itself. Obviously this is an important one because it does recognize kind of the origin, right? It has that Han-China link, but really the history of the Chinese writing system, the history of the Japanese writing system, the history of kanji characters, Chinese characters throughout Asia is much more complex than that. And so I think in 2025 we need to have a more inclusive kanji for kanji, which recognizes how many contributions there are. I think the best way to do this is just to take every kanji that's ever been invented ever in any country at all and just jam them all together into this box. Now the problem is, of course, that this is really hard to fill in, so we can just immediately jump to the simplification of it and make it a 5-stroke kanji where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you're done. And this is our new kanji for kanji. Isn't it beautiful? Anyway, those are my suggestions. Again, I know that even suggesting that kanji could be improved at all is akin to blasphemy, but if I haven't angered the kanji gods too much, I'll suggest another 10.